What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon. I'm back with you for another one. I don't got a lot on my end today. It's mostly just Coordinator Thursday, so I got all the press conferences and stuff from the coordinators. There's also a couple player interviews I got for you. But first off, I wanted to address a comment that I had in on one of my last videos. I had a suggestion. Somebody gave me a suggestion that I should stop filming my shows in my closet. So I'd like to just kind of show you guys what I'm working with here. Unfortunately, I do not live in a situation where I have a room or anything specifically available for my shows. Not yet anyway, one day, but not yet. So if you see here, this is my living room, there's my front door, and if you see behind me this structure thing right here, this is my room, if you will. Okay, so we go in here, we're backing up, we go in, here's my little door, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, this way, there's my bed. Coming around is my computer. This is where I normally, over here by that little fan right there, is normally where I have my camera set up. It's my desk and my computer, my screen, my Xbox, all that stuff. And then if you come around this way, you see my shelves over here. Oh, it's crazy. My dresser over there with the fan on it, my shelves. Okay, and then you see behind me is my little makeshift closet. I don't really have a closet, so this is kind of just my room. So just wanted to kind of clarify that for you guys, just so you know. I apologize for that. The best I could probably do is, find a way to I don't know, cover it up or something if it's bothersome. So let me know if you guys think I should do something to cover up my clothes so y'all don't see it. But one day I'll have a nice room that I have all set up with all my Dolphins memorabilia and stuff like that, and it'll be all fancy and stuff. But for now, I'm a poor son of a bitch, so I don't have all that, unfortunately. But it is what it is. So I just wanted to address that, though, kind of put some context to it. I mean, it was all said in love, so no big deal, but just wanted to address that real quick. So getting into just a couple quick things or whatever. The big thing right now is that Tannehill obviously is not going to be playing this upcoming game against the Lions this weekend, but it's also looking that for the short turnaround for our Thursday night game against the Texans, he won't be playing either. So it looks like Brock Osweiler is going to be the quarterback at least for the next couple weeks. They say it's a shoulder injury. I've already let y'all know that there's an NFL investigation into it because apparently they didn't handle it properly. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Excuse me. And so they expect him to be out probably at least the next couple weeks. They don't expect that he's going to have surgery. They're just resting it. So we'll see what happens. It's kind of a wait and see sort of thing. But in the meantime, guys, we have Brock Osweiler behind center. I mean, if you've watched my videos, especially going into the preseason and stuff before, I've never been like a huge Osweiler fan, but he did perform really well this past game. And as long as the offense and the offensive line played fantastic, lights out last game. So if they can do that, then just about any quarterback will be all right back there. But I'll say this, right? Like I've said before, I think Ryan Tannehill has better, legs. I think he's got a stronger arm, and I think he's a little bit more careful with the football in general, right? So, but having said that, Brock Osweiler and Adam Gase have worked together a lot. They're very familiar with each other. He knows Gase's system. He's really good, in the huddle and addressing things at the line of scrimmage and so on and so forth. So I'm not really concerned about it. And like I said, as long as the pieces around him are fine, as long as that O-line plays well, as long as the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends do all their jobs, then, you know, it shouldn't be an issue, and I think we can definitely win with him. So I'm looking, of course, for another W this weekend against the Lions, but we obviously got to wait to see for that. That's coming up on Sunday. I'll be doing my preview video specifically for that then. As it turns out, the Lions are coming off a bye. So last week, I didn't really get too in-depth with like the stats and stuff for the Bears game. I was like, you know what? They're coming off a bye. I'll leave it. I won't really recap their last game. But you know what? I'm going to do that anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the stats from their last game because I like to be able to preview it. Last week I kind of figured, how often is this going to happen? You know, whatever. But I'm just going to go ahead and do it very thorough. I'll make sure I'll get you all the stats, league standings, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, I'll talk, obviously, you know, key emphasis, point of emphasis and stuff like that. But anyway, before I go ahead and send you off to these interviews, I did have a question that I wanted to go ahead and answer. And it was actually in regard to this upcoming game. And it was from Dolphin Junkie on my last video. And he says, He basically says, what can the Dolphins defense do to prevent the run and Matthew Stafford? Well, so there's a couple things that go into this. Let's break it down into the two specific areas. So first of all, the run. They've got LeGarrette Blount. They've got Kerryon Johnson. He's a rookie. He's been doing really well so far this season. And he's the one. I'm not so concerned with LeGarrette Blount. It's more so Kerryon Johnson that I would be worried about because he's a bit shiftier. You know, he's a lot better in space and stuff like that. LeGarrette Blount's obviously the ground and pound, you know, the real, you know, tough pounding, you know, up the middle, you know, in between the tackles kind of runner and stuff like that. I think we won't have too much of a problem with LeGarrette Blount. Like I said, the focus is going to be on Kerryon Johnson in my mind. That, you know, that's my opinion. I think he would pose the bigger threat. But obviously, as far as defending against that, you know, it starts, and really for both of these aspects, it starts with that defensive line. But, you know, we should be, it looks like, you know, Andre Branch has been back. It looks like Cameron Wake stands a decent possibility of playing this week, so that would be great. I haven't heard anything about Jonathan Woodard yet on whether or not he's out of the concussion protocol. I'm pretty sure I would have, you know, there would have been some reports if he was out, so he's probably still in, which means if that's the case, then he won't be available, but hopefully Wake will. Bobby McCain also stands a pretty good chance of coming back this upcoming week, and you know, I think that with the guys that we have, so if you're talking like it's defensive tackles, Devon Godshaw, Vincent Taylor, they've been playing exceptionally well. They've been, you know, they played really well as rookies, and they have definitely taken, you know, a step forward this season. Spence is in there as well. And that's kind of all we really have for tackles. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Jemias Pittman also, we promoted him up from the practice squad. So we have those four guys. He's done some decent things for us in, like, preseason and stuff before. So he's not a bad option for that, you know, a fourth guy to rotate in there with them. But the three main guys have been doing really well. You know, and then with the edge rushers that we have, you know, with the guys on the outside, I think that, you know, we will be able to maintain, you know, the ability to stop the run. We've been pretty damn good at it. You know, like I said, in the preview video, I'll get more into the league standings and the specific, you know, stats and stuff. But we've been really decent with that throughout, you know, the season so far. So I expect that to continue. Matthew Stafford. The beautiful thing about Matthew Stafford is, one, he's not super mobile. He can move around a bit and he can extend plays for sure. And, you know, he can get out of the pocket and stuff like that. And he can run if he needs to, but he's not, you know, a super big threat in the run game. So there's that. And then also, out of, you know, all the quarterbacks in the league, he tends to hold onto the ball a little bit longer than most people, which is great because, you know, if our D tackles can, you know, push the interior of the line, and if our D ends can get some pressure, we stand a really good chance of, you know, getting some sacks, causing him to have errant throws. And, you know, we have the best right now. Our defense is top in interceptions with 11, I believe, on the season. We lead the league in interceptions. We have we have a really good defense. We do. You know, our red zone takeaways, I think, lead the league as well. You know, we're really stingy down in the red zone, which is great. So I think overall our defense has a really strong chance of shutting down the Lions offense. You know, overall. And the thing is, you know, can our offense build off of last week and put up some points? I think we stand a really good chance in this game. Anyway, so I hope that answered your question. I hope that was sufficient enough. I'm going to go ahead and send you off to these interviews. And I hope you enjoy the show. If you do, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. That is the most important. If you want alerts, hit the bell. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns. I love interacting with you guys. I'll definitely, you know, interact with you in the comment section. But if you guys ask me some questions, I'll throw them in the video for you. You know, and then share it around. You know, get this out there. Help us grow. Help us get to 100, then 1,000. The more we grow, the more I can do for you guys. And so with that, I'll let you guys get to these interviews. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.
Of your age, 35 plus, to run for 100 yards in a game in 14 years. Wow. Is that type of thing meaningful to you? Had you known about that?
No, I don't. I didn't, you know, I don't think about it, and I didn't hear about it, but I'm happy I did get the 100, though. Mm-hmm. And we also got the win, so that was big.
What do you attribute to being durable right now at your age?
I say that man up above, man. I've been blessed. Also, you know, the way I train and how much I love the game. You know, as you get older and want to keep playing this game, you got to respect it. That's why the way you train and when you out there, and also when you're in practice. You know, you can't think about no age. You got to continue to be like you're a young man out there.
So in essence, your mind may tell you one thing, but your body tells you another thing.
Yeah, I just think, you know, the way I take care of myself. You know, when I got to the age, when I try to do something that I feel like I still can do it, like probably party, and also still play them. In one game, I didn't have it that Sunday, and when I felt, you know, that's when I knew that, you know, if I still want to play this game, I got to respect it the way, you know, a different way, and that's why I take care of my body. I train my behind off, and you know, during the season, I'm all football.
Is there anything you think you've lost from late 20s to now?
I don't know. I'll see. I just now I got to pay attention to be very detailed. Small details. I try my best to make sure I understand like the small details on the field.
Frank, what happens during a very small amount of time, like 20 seconds, where you come out of the game in overtime, you and Coach Studeville and Kenyon have a quick amount of time to determine who's going in? How does that happen? Had you told Eric?
It's depending on what Coach called, and it don't matter who, and we both can get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And our coach respect both of us. Whatever play get called, we're gonna try our best to get it done. So it really don't matter. Yeah,
you could have stayed in at that point, but had you felt a little gassed or no?
I've been smart. I felt that Kenya was the fresher guy.
Right.
And I'll do it again. Because he can play this game at a high level too.
Frank, you talk about your routine, but do you ever pick the brains of other guys like a Cameron Wake or even other sports like a Haslam or a Wade, guys who played a long time and still play?
No, I try to, I've been going with what I know so far, and also I talk to like other players who at my position, like when my boy Marshall Falk get back in town, when he texts me that I still look good, I just ask him like what do you think I should continue doing, and things like that.
Was that in the last week or two?
Yeah, just last game.
Oh, after the last game.
Yeah, he texted me.
Yeah.
What's that mean to you when you get that kind of text from him?
It's big, a guy like that, and a guy who I respect and who killed it when he was playing. He killed it, and we always talk during the season, even off season, and I just tell him to be real with him, and he said I still can play.
Are there times you convince your mind that you can do certain things that maybe your body at your age, most people say you can't do?
Yeah, I like that. When I hear, I like the challenge. The biggest challenge was going to be training camp. And, I felt like I wanted to be the same Frank. That's like going out there every day with my teammates, and that's what I did. Even though I didn't get, the reps like I wanted to, but I was out there, so that was a big thing for me.
Frank, has your start to the season reaffirmed for you that you think you'll be around for a few more years and you've got a lot left?
I take one game at a time, 1 year at a time. There's a lot of games left in this season, and I'm not even thinking about that right now. Right now, I'm trying to be ready for Sunday and try to get a win on Sunday against Detroit.
Do you like the topic of all the questions you get about being able to do this at your age? 'Cause some guys are sensitive about their age, but on the other hand, you might look at it as a badge of honor.
I don't care about it, but I kind of get tired of it, because I still can play, I don't care what age I am. If I continue to train and feel good and enjoy the locker room and this team and this organization want me, and I feel like I can do it, I'm gonna do it. It doesn't matter what my age,
Frank, this forever grinding on your shirt, is that? Seems like it has a lot deeper meaning because of how long you've been out there.
It's my whole career. You think about, when I went to Miami, I played as a freshman. I go in and compete to be the starter. I tear my ACL, I come back, I start. I get off to a good couple games, and I get hurt again. And you hear everybody saying, "Oh, well, he done," and I've been, I get drafted in the third round. People still say it was, I got drafted too high. And, I'm saying I won't be playing. I only played three years, and I'm still playing now, so it means a lot. Yeah, it do. It's just, the way I've been raised, the way I've been, how my career been going. So, yeah, it means a lot.
And there aren't a lot of athletes in this position, although you certainly might be one of them, like Dwayne Wade, where they can decide before their last year, this is going to be my last year. Do you want to do that? Do you want to know going into a year, this will be my last season?
Yeah, I can tell probably when I'm training. If I feel like I can't be me when I'm training and I can't keep up the guys who I train with, who help me have a strong head coming into training camp, that I'll be able to tell.
I didn't ask you about this, but the catch tipped after Amendola, were you guys in the same vicinity on purpose, by accident? Did that play just kind of unfold like that?
No, I was where I was supposed to be. I was running a post route. I think he was running a crossing route or something. And I saw Brock break the pocket, so I just was working my way back to the ball, and it was tipped up, and I made a play on it.
Oh, so because he broke the pocket, that's how you guys kind of ended up in the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kenny, the classic line, obviously, is injuries are a part of the game, but because of your relationship with Ryan, having been here with him for a number of years, do you feel, I don't want to say extra bad, but do you feel compassion knowing what he went through to come back and now sideline again?
Yeah, I mean, with any player on this team that we spend a lot of time together, you feel for them when they're hurt. And, I know he's upset and he wants to be out there and wants to help the team any way that he can. So, yeah, we definitely feel for him, especially, that it's our quarterback.
Is there some point you want to reassure him, let him, kind of remind him that he has a chance to come back this season even after, a couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's really my job. We see him every day. We all uplift each other regardless of if we're hurt or not. And so we know that when he's ready and when he's back out there, he'll be out there playing.
Brock said something in the press conference that I thought was interesting. He said that in the offensive meeting room, sometimes guys use the phrase standards over feelings.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you? What do you think of that?
I mean, it's in this business, and I think in a lot of other places, it's sometimes it's difficult to take coaching, or it's difficult to be told that you're wrong, and so we have a standard that we set here, and we go by that, and so if we're not meeting those standards, then if your feelings get hurt, you got to understand that it's about holding ourselves to this and going out there and trying to make sure that we're competing and winning.
How are things going continuity-wise with Brock this week?
Great. Yeah, I mean, you guys.
We don't see much.
You don't see much, right? But quarterbacks are out there. We throw routes on air all off season. Brock was here this off season. So we get that time together. Now it's different timing throughout the game, but we've been working together for a while. So it's not like it's just somebody like just came off the street. Brock's been doing this. He prepares like a professional, and it showed last week when he got out there.
Because he knows more of Geese's offense, from their time together in Denver, has that leaked into practice? Has he kind of helped instruct you guys on things that maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it makes him a lot more comfortable being that he's been in offense before. He's familiar with it, and so it makes it easier for him to play well and play fast.
The time I've been here and all the kickers I've met with and worked out and all that stuff, a big part of the equation is certainly the temperament and the personality of the individual. One of the things that we really liked about Jason when we first started working him out and kind of getting to know him on the, introductory levels, I kind of really liked his demeanor. I liked where he was. I really liked his background, his family background, which certainly plays into a personality. And he comes from a military background. He's youngest of 4 kids. I have 5 kids. I know how my youngest boy is. So a lot of those little things, and people may look at that and kind of, in a puzzling way, but for a kicker, you have to. It's a very, very unique situation. You're going out there in unique times. A lot of time in a game, like the other day, a game could be on the line, and you have to have a really, really good, level-headed demeanor. You can't really be a roller coaster guy in terms of personality. And so, I really think Jason Sanders was a really good fit from that standpoint. Again, I'm not talking anything about his talent or his kicking ability, but I really think he's got a really good approach to the game. I think he's really mature, maybe above his years, and I think a lot of that factors into it. And I think that's why, certainly, I think he takes the field with confidence every time, whether it's practice, out here during training camp, OTAs, or any, on Sunday. I think he kind of approaches each kick the same. That's one of the reasons I really think that, I was very, very, happy with him in terms of that from day one. Really, that was one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I was encouraged by right from the get-go.
Do you have a game-winning kick ritual, whether it's your guy or the other team's guy? Do you watch the kick or?
I watch everything. Yeah, I'm not one of those guys that can't watch. I got to watch. No, I mean, I kind of treat, and my ritual really is more or less just treat everything the same. Whether it's they're kicking or we're kicking, and we got to make, we have a kind of a process we go through on every special teams play, if you will, and it's really no different there. Certainly, game situation kind of falls into that. Obviously, it was a unique situation because it was in overtime, and kind of we were planning for the next step. All right, hey, if he misses this is what we got, and those kind of things. And it was at the 2-minute warning. And so every kick is kind of an individual event, if you will, but I kind of treat it all the same.
You had a unique opportunity of watching your former pupil have a chance to beat you guys. What were you thinking as the kick goes up on his end?
Honestly, with where I am, with my role on the team, my thought process was, what are we going to do after he misses this? And kind of that's kind of where we were, and kind of the thought process there in terms of, all right, when he misses this, what are we doing next? And that's kind of where, certainly. It's a situation. It's a unique situation because of former guys over there, and now you got to get ready to go, and now you got to go into offensive mode, and now get back into your again time management and all those things right back into, and that obviously played out the way we wanted it to, So, but definitely a unique situation, no doubt about that. Where's Jason today?
I think he's doing a Facebook Live. If you want to pop in on it, I'm sure he'd be happy to welcome you. Anything else?
Yeah.
I have questions. Can I do it outside with Rizzy? I don't want to do it with everybody else.
Wow. Those are the rules now?
Okay. I'll wait. Go ahead. All right.
With Jakeem, though he's been kind of having a shoulder thing he's been working through, is there because he's playing a lot of offense obviously too, is there a question as to how much you want to subject him to? Because, I mean, when you put him out there, he's pretty dynamic in the return game.
No, the way we handle that is if a guy is active, he's active. I mean, from a special team standpoint, at least I'll speak for myself. If a guy is up and playing, then he's going to play that role. I mean, certainly, a guy like Jakeem, there's a situational thing involved in it as well. We do have 2 punt returners. We've talked about that before, a couple different guys. But, as far as I'm concerned, we make the decision if a guy is active and he's going to go, then he's going to play the role that, helps us win the football game. So it really has. Now, we can certainly take care of a guy, any guy, again, I'm talking about anybody now on the team, during the practice week and limit reps and things like that. But once Sunday comes, when you're out there and you're going, I mean, if he's out there, he's going to be returning for us.
Gates told us that his nickname is the Bully.
He's got a lot of nicknames. I mean,
Have you seen him bully on special teams?
Jakeem?
Yeah.
He's a guy with more nicknames than, like Mighty Mouse, Kevin Hart. I mean, say it with your chest, all that. Say it with your chest is a Kevin Hart expression. So he gets. I started that one way back when he got here. So you're going to learn today, all the Kevin Hart, all the Kevin Hart stuff. So he gets it all. So, Jakeem is a guy that the bully thing's kind of funny because, he has for a small guy, he's got a huge presence. You know what I mean? And so that kind of carries with him wherever he is, practice, games, and so that's kind of why I think they busted chops about that. Sure.
All right.
Move tight end. It's a strength of his to be able to do that stuff and kind of play that hybrid tight end / fullback role and do those things. And the challenge is always, with the Coach Case has is really the actives, the inactives, and managing that roster. And the good thing for Coach Day and myself are we get to coach the guys he tells us to coach, and he'll make those decisions. And we do have a room that of 4 or 5 guys that they can play and help us. And so whatever Coach tells us on that, we'll play those guys.
What is the legend of Nick O'Leary? Why is he the guy that was a cast-off, sitting around waiting for a call, and now he comes here and it looks like he might be your best tight end?
Yeah, I can't speak for that, and those are your words, not mine. I think what Nick does a really good job of is he's a scrappy player. He's competitive, and I think the guys see how hard he plays, and he's always mixing up in the pile. He plays with edge, and he's made some plays for us. So, and guys are naturally drawn to that kind of competitive spirit. So, I can't speak on why it didn't work out in the past to other teams, but I think the coaching staff here has done a good job using his skill set to and put him in a position to be successful.
Sometimes you see things in a guy though where you obviously looked at film on him before you brought him in, and you see, this is something that's underutilized, or this is something you can do something with. What did you see?
He goes back to Florida State. He was a productive guy, and in doing those things, he could move, and was smart. You could tell he was smart. You could tell he was competitive and scrappy, and just really sometimes this league is about finding an opportunity, and when you do get that opportunity, making the most of it. And it comes in a lot of different ways, and he's done that to this point, made the most of his opportunity here.
What was the difference that we saw from this offensive line? Not the Cincinnati game. Let's not compare those two. Yeah. But from what you saw against the Bears compared to what you saw beginning earlier this season?
The biggest thing I think was the execution. I mean, it really was. It was, having Laramie Tunsil out there is a big deal because he's a really good football player. And when you have a guy that you can say, hey, we trust this guy one-on-one to block anybody in the NFL, and we can slide protections and chip the other way, it makes a big difference. And so you get help in other places, and make sure your strengths are your strengths and play to your strengths and protect your weaknesses, or what could be a matchup issue that way. Or maybe a team has like the Bears had a good, their right side of the rush pattern is really good for those guys. And so we're able to do some different stuff schematically, and having Laramie makes it able to where you can do that stuff because you have such trust in him to be able to handle whoever lines up in front of him to block him one-on-one.
So there's nobody in the league you can think of that you say, we might need to give Laramie a little help.
I think at every point, like their breather plays for, whether it be Laramie or Jawan or whoever it is, like you don't want to put someone on the island and say, hey, 40 plays in a row, we want you to block this guy, and we don't believe in that here anyway. We want to give them different looks and do those things. But when it's crunch time and it matters, we trust Laramie to do his job and block anyone one-on-one.
With Brock, how much did you know about him before you took the job, and what have you learned about him since?
Well, I've been on the other side of losing to him twice. When I was in 2015 in Chicago, he was in Denver. In 2016, the opener, I was in Chicago, and he was in Houston at the time. So just being across from him, watching him, and then it's been a fun and a privilege to coach him because he learned from one of the best of all time in 18, and that part of the knowledge of the offense after getting to watch 18 do it for 4 years in Denver and come in and execute the system at a high level, and just the confidence he has in the system and feels like it fits his skill set. And so from a distance, I got to watch him and learn him and figure out what he's good at once he got here. So it's been fun.
What's more impressive, I guess, his confidence, as you mentioned, or his optimism, because he seems to have both.
Yeah, he is. I think he's in a really good place mentally. I think he really enjoys football. I think he really enjoys his teammates, and I think that's important to trust the system a lot because it's something he's familiar with, and he got to see it operate at a very high level by one of the greatest players of all time. So when you get to sit back and watch that, it just gives you confidence and belief when a call comes in that you've seen it executed at a top level, and you know what the system is capable of when executed the right way, and just the belief that he has his teammates. The one thing that Brock, I think, does a really good job of is he plays with a point guard mentality. He's getting the ball out quick. He knows where the hots are. He knows where his outs are on the majority of the plays. So I think he does a good job of executing that stuff.
How would you describe the approach you would like Brock to take relative to aggressiveness versus caretaking, that sort of mindset?
Yeah, it's really, well, the line we use a lot with the quarterbacks is aggressive as can be in the timing of the play. So if we have a shot play called up, then we want to throw the ball and push the ball down the field as long as you're listening to your feet. And sometimes it doesn't develop the right way and you have to take an extra hitch, then we're telling them, hey, bring your eyes down and find the check down. I thought the one thing that Brock did that probably doesn't get talked about enough is he was really smart with throwaways. We had a thing, I think, was going this way in the second quarter, third quarter, and the second 10, and he throws the ball away because we busted protection. And the next third down is, instead of being in 3rd and 15, taking a sack, we throw the ball away, and next play we hit Amendola for a first down that ends up leading to points. And it's just being smart with the football and being aggressive. We wanted to be aggressive in the timing of the play, though.
When you all got Albert Wilson, you obviously knew he was a highly skilled guy, elusive, yards after catch were good. But have you guys just sitting around as coaches even been a tiny bit amazed and talking among yourselves just to see what we've seen over the first 6 weeks?
Well, it's a good question because we knew he was talented. We knew we thought we assumed that he could do certain things with the ball that make him unique. And the one thing that really jumps out to you that is how strong he is in the lower body, how thick he is. He's built like a running back in the lower body, and his ability his contact balance. When he gets hit, a lot of people stumble and fall. Howard does a tremendous job of keeping that contact balance and running after the catch. And, he's done a really good job taking on a heavy burden because he moves around a lot of things. And some of the things that don't get called where he's played slot, he's played outside, he's played running back, he's played quarterback, and just really challenged himself to learn all that stuff. And we're going to continue to stretch him that way and see how far we can take him.
Okay, explain something to me. Catch and slash.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So slash is a term that we really started talking about this year. And what slash is when you catch a ball, and you'll see a lot of guys they'll start bouncing and bouncing it, and what we say is slash, which basically means stick your foot in the ground and go vertical. Amendola does a really good job of it, and it's the sometimes you get as a ball carrier you get in trouble of trying to do too much with it. And we keep talking about going north and slash, go vertical. And then once you go vertical, now you can get your shoulder square, and now you can go make moves in the open field like Howard did on 39 for the Bears when it's basically, fast break in basketball. He went vertical and slash, went vertical, and then he had two-way go on him. So it's really trying to eliminate angles for the defense because they're trying to overpopulate, and that's how you stop missed tackles, overpopulate the ball. Well, the way you stop that as an offense is going vertical and slashing, going north.
One of the things Brock mentioned is that you guys talk about standards over feelings, which I thought was kind of interesting. How do you work through that, the idea that guys have different personalities and they respond to coaching in different ways?
We think the only way that you can raise the standards is to continue to communicate the vision of what we want and what we expect. And the only way you do it is be able to tell people the truth, and that's not good enough. It's yes or no. It's evaluation friendly. You either did your job or you didn't. And part of that is the coaching staff doing a really good job of explaining their expectations and the intent for plays. So when we call a shot play, we expect, hey, this is in the shotgun 3-1 hitch throw, and we're putting it up. Or, hey, you know what, we didn't get the coverage we want, so then now the intent wasn't there to check the ball down. But just so our expectations are clear, and it's part of the process. We're not where we need to be, but we're getting closer, and it's just having very direct dialogue and cutting through all the stuff, or, hey, that was a pretty good read, but we'd really like to get to number 3 where it's more direct, and it's no, it's not good enough. You know that it's 1, 2, 3 and the timing of the play, and check the ball down and don't take sacks, and just being very direct with each other. And I think it helps you establish standards, and it helps the whole team, the whole offensive group understand the expectations.
You game plan differently at home in the heat, as far as your running game and how you run Frank and Kenyon?
No, sir. That's actually a really interesting question. We don't. But what does happen is you go with a plan, and then you react off what's going on in the game and make adjustments. And maybe some teams, you start to feel them wearing down, or however it's going, the run game gets going, and you start popping off. The one thing we did against Chicago, we were really efficient. We were efficient. When I say that is we're gaining 4 yards on first down, and on second 1 to 6, we're cutting it in half and making it 3rd and short and doing those things. And so it's really the feel of the game, not really necessarily going in. We obviously see this playing at home is a huge advantage for us that we need to continue to make a priority is winning at home. But it's really just the in-game adjustments and seeing how the game's going.
Can you put your finger on, what changed for you guys? There was a couple of weeks where struggling to get going, and then all of a sudden, like you said, the efficiency popped up.
I do think that the matchup things have changed a little bit. I think that some of the teams we played lately, we've been running more inside stuff than outside stuff. And Frank's had some more carries that way, and playing his strength, and it's really what the defensive scheme gave us, and how we chose to attack that scheme. So I think our guys are starting to understand what we want more, and they're starting to execute the blocks better. And once we lost Sitton, there was a little bit of transition there that we had to, and once we lost Kilgore, there's a little bit of transition there. And I think these guys are starting to play together a little bit more and starting to gel a little bit in the run game that way.
What did you like specifically about Juwan, what he did last week?
I thought he did a really good job. I think there was 15 or 16 times he was on his own blocking one-on-one, and he did it and played really the one thing, he brought great energy. And Juwan's an energy giver and plays hard and aggressive. And that's what the whole thing is especially at home, and you feel that heat is, you want to be able to impose your will and play on your terms in the run game and pass game. When we talk about the run game, you have to be able to run the ball when you want to. And I thought that's what our group did, and I think Juwan was a big part of that, just playing aggressive and trusting his technique, and understand he did a really good job of. I said, there was a lot of times we were sending 2 or 3 guys and we were chipping and doing those things, but he did a really good job understanding where his help was in each play. We might be sliding to him, so he might know, hey, they're sliding to me, so I have inside help if I don't need it, but I know that I can set a certain way to be aggressive.
So hopefully he keeps working through this process so we can get him back on the field soon.
What went into the decision to go with Cordray late on Sunday?
Yeah, obviously, we had some things going on the field, and just felt like it was time for a different look. They were going at Torrey a little bit, and we were trying to work some different coverages to help him out. And Torrey was battling, so it wasn't anything like that, but just felt like it was time to put something else out there, something different look, a little different body type, a little different skill set for Tank. So just sort of try to change some pitches up to give them a different look.
What does Tankersley have to do to regain coaching staff's confidence?
I wouldn't say he doesn't have our confidence. I mean, I think it's just like any of the rest of them. You know, any of our guys that are sort of in backup type roles at this point. I mean, they just got to keep competing, keep working. In practice. I actually think Tank's probably had his last probably week and a half is probably the last 2 weeks of practice probably been the best. I've seen him really working in practice just on the look team. But we're playing some teams that have, play some similar techniques on defense and things, so he's able to work some of our stuff. So just like the rest of those guys, I mean, they just got to keep competing, and then when they do have an opportunity, which obviously he got an opportunity to perform when he has a chance to perform, and to keep doing that. All we ask those guys, any of those backup guys that are right now are in a backup role, and we tell them all, hey, look, obviously all of them have to be ready to play, so we tell them to keep working, keep doing what we're asking them to do, and when they have the opportunity to perform. So I wouldn't say he doesn't have our confidence. We felt like we had some other guys that were performing better at those spots at the time we made those decisions, and he's just got to keep himself ready and keep working to get back to where he needs to be.
When you see Albert Wilson on the offense, you've obviously faced him quite a bit in the practice field.
Mm-hmm.
When you see his elusiveness on the field,
Mm-hmm.
is there any opponent that you think of that's in that caliber, guys that you have to deal with during the season?
I don't know, I'll go week to week. You want to talk about this week?
Is there anyone on the line?
Sure, yeah. I think it's a pretty fair comparison, to Tate, just from they're probably fairly similar in size. I've actually never gone against Golden Tate. Obviously, Tony and some of the guys on staff have been around him a lot more. But just the run after catch stuff, the elusiveness, the ball in their hands and the things they can do. We went against Albert last year. I remember when we were playing Kansas City or prepping for Kansas City, and obviously, most of their offense was going through, forget the running back part, but 10 and 87 were getting the majority of their offense last year in Kansas City. And I remember watching tape, being like, hey man, this guy, like, we can't sleep on this dude. Just watching, it was Albert, but just watching him do some of the things he was doing. I remember saying that in the thing, like, look, like, I know like everyone's focusing on 10 and 87, but this number 12 is the real deal. So so I remember having that feeling about watching him, prepping for him last year. So but yeah, I mean, looking to this week, I mean, they do a lot of similar things. Again, they're moving Tate around, trying to get him the ball in different spots like we do, with Albert, and probably the best aspect of both their games is with the ball in their hands and what they can do with it. So it was a challenge for us this week for sure.
What would you like to see happen on that 29-yard touchdown where so there was a blitz,
Mm-hmm.
and McMillan got back,
Mm-hmm.
and you had TJ in the back too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's supposed to happen?
I'm probably supposed to make a better call right there. So we'll start there. I knew what the play was going to be. I kind of made an inelegant call. I don't know if that's the right word. Ball's on the 30-yard line, 29-yard line. Obviously, about 3 minutes left in the game. I was part thinking, just from everything they've shown, like they were going to max protect and take a shot there. I mean, that was what they were going to do. I mean, it was pretty evident. They changed their max protection scheme. I mean, I don't want to get to too much detail stuff, but they changed the max protection scheme. Basically, like, I tried to throw numbers at it. I just tried to bring more than, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't like a schemed up thing where I thought we could attack it. I just tried to bring enough numbers to try to muddy it up. You know what I mean? And that's not really my style, to be honest with you. It didn't really work very well. So, it's kind of, I was in a tough situation. I thought, like, you play coverage there, even if it's incomplete, they're in field goal range again with 3 minutes left. I mean, we're trying to keep points off the board there as best as possible. They're right in the fringe. You're trying to make it harder, on a field goal kick. So it wasn't the right call. I won't say it was a bad call necessarily. I mean, it wasn't the right call in hindsight. Bake had gotten taken off because his contact came out. I mean, the stuff that people don't see all the time. They thought he was playing with his eye. They thought the spotter called him down for a concussion check because they saw Bake playing with his contact fell out. So he got taken off the field. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff going on, in real time. So I just tried to throw numbers at the situation, and it was probably not the right call at that time. So I'd like to see myself make a better call. How's that?
Are you expecting the linebacker to run back there?
Maybe. Like I said, I shouldn't have made that call. It was the wrong call. That's on me. Again, I'd like to I'd like to make a better call in that spot. I always try to review myself and what I do. I think I wasn't questioning my philosophy, in terms of trying to like be aggressive and try to knock them back a little bit and challenge the field goal spot. But it wasn't the right pressure to do in that moment. So, how's that? That's my answer.
You guys are ranked, I think, 25th in defensive snaps.
I don't know. What is that, like a number of snaps?
Yeah, I think it's 67 or 68 a game, something like that. Is that too high? And is that how do you manage the course of the season if you're playing more snaps than everybody else?
I mean, I don't play as many snaps they tell us to. I mean, hopefully we're not playing full 70-minute games. You know what I mean? I'm sure that doesn't help. And I think it's well documented. Our third down we've been struggling a little bit on third down in some situations. And again, same as last week. I don't know how many 3rd and 1s we had. I couldn't get off the 3rd and 1s. It was driving me crazy. So, it's partly our fault, in terms of that stuff. But we can't. Again, I don't necessarily worry about that in the moment. We're going to play as many snaps as we need to play to win a ball game. So if that's, last week I felt like more. Last week we actually only played 70 snaps maybe or something like that, not including the penalties. You take those off, and we're actually in the high 60s, which. I would expect. I always expect to play in the sort of the mid 60s. That's to me not an unusual number of games. So, again, we try to keep our guys fresh. We try to do things during the course of the week and practice and recovery stuff to keep them ready to go. And I don't know. It's not totally out of our hands. In terms of trying to get stops and get off the field a bit quicker and getting some more 3 and outs. But I don't know. We don't really worry about. I couldn't have told you that stat if you asked me a million times. We're just trying to play as many plays as we can.
What's your thoughts, I guess, on total defense as a stat, yardage?
I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. Again, our job is to keep points off the board. Period. And that's our only goal. Now, again, you can argue or just debate about which stats you think lead more directly to keeping points off the board. For us, it's all about getting stops. I think we've been pretty good and obviously in terms of takeaways, and then red zone defense has been pretty good. Third downs is another way to get stops, which is where we're not up to snuff there. So total yards, again, I'm not saying we want to be giving up 500 yards every game. But that's not really a stat that we try to measure ourselves by. We're trying to keep the scoring down. So however we have to do that is what we're going to do.
So that's changed, I guess, as offenses have evolved and picking up easy yardage versus, maybe how it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Obviously everything's evolving. Offenses are changing. And, I don't really look at statistically around the league, but I'm sure offensive numbers and just total yardage is going up. It's getting hard to play defense sometimes, but again, that's not something that we focus on. Hey, we got to hold them to under 300 yards here. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get off the field. We're trying to keep the score down. So, the things that we think lead to lower scoring games are what we're going to focus on, and yards isn't necessarily one of them.
Obviously, everything seems to be slanted towards the offense in terms of the new rules. Mm-hmm. This is just the reality of the situation.
It is.
But if you're, as a defensive guy, as a defensive coach, if you can advocate for one thing to help the defense, maybe no cut blocking, for whatever reason, safety issues, what would it be?
Yeah, I don't know. There's always those debates. No one's going to listen to me anyways. I don't know about that. But no, you're always, it's frustrating sometimes. It is, but, that's just the way it is. I try to take that approach with our guys. Hey, look, we can complain about landing on the quarterback, hits, legal hits with the head, all that stuff they're trying to change, and you can say it's slanted. Some of it's player safety issues, but honestly, I really try to take the approach. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I think. As a defensive coach, my NFL might look a little different than the NFL we have today, but that's the that's the state of the union. Like, those are facts. So for me, it's more about, okay, how can we coach within this world? How can we play defense or be better within the context of the new world order we're facing, essentially, you know? So, yeah, I can come up with a lot of rules that says we can grab guys downfield. I mean, even though obviously like college football contact rules and things like that. I mean, but that's just you know.
But even
that's
now,
just
it has to bother you when like
nothing bothers me.
No,
Yeah.
where running backs can lower their heads and
Well, they're not supposed to be
they're not
able
supposed
to.
but they do it.
Yeah, but that's again that
Receivers can push off.
Yeah,
quarterbacks
but they're
can
not
touch
supposed to.
them.
Yeah, it's you know again. So anytime, like even you know for me, like when we have like penalties or plays that happen within a game that we turn in, say for example to league, for me it's never about like punitive. I don't like you guys screwed up. Tell everybody that you're wrong. You know, it's more like, hey, am I coaching the right thing? Are we telling our like, is this what you want? You know what I mean? So for me, it's more about just informational. Like that's all sour grape stuff. That's fine. Like that's just again, that's the way of the world. They're going to call more DPI than OPI. Like that's just how it is. You know what I mean? They're going to call more defensive players for striking with the helmet or leading with the helmet than offensive players. That's just facts. I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's what the league wants, or that's what the owners want, or whatever it is. Whoever wants those changes. So for us to as a coaching staff, it's about, okay, how do we coach within the context of that world? You know what I mean? So I just want to know, okay, like you know, this is what we're telling our guys now. We're telling them to do this. So this happens in a game, and you call this penalty or don't call this penalty. Was that right or wrong? So I can keep coaching it that way, or no? Do I have to readjust what we're telling our players? So again, because our job to me is not to worry about what the rules are. I'm not that high up in the world. So you know, our job is to tell me what I can coach our players to do to be successful as we can be within the context of what's going on in the league. So I try not to like bother myself too much with that, because you can drive yourself crazy. You really can. And maybe in the off season when I have more time, I float around and go, this would be cool if they changed this or if they did this. But right now, really, honestly, it's more about kind of information gathering and saying, hey, look, I want to make sure this is how I'm coaching this guy. Is that right? You know, and or you told me you were going to call the penalty this way, but you didn't. Not like you screwed up, but hey, are we on the right path here in terms of what we're telling our guys? So we've just got to take what the rules are at this point and try to coach as best we can within them.
What's that? I think you go like is sixth in red zone defense.
You're like my PR guy, maybe.
That's a good one, though.
That's not bad. Yeah.
What I mean, the turnovers seem to be pretty rare.
That helps.
Yeah. I mean, what's going on there?
You're getting turnovers in the red zone.
I mean, has there been? I know we talked about the offseason, but a concerted effort to get more turnovers.
Yeah. No. Again, listen. Turnovers. I mean, yeah. In terms of our red zone defense, it's been helping. Like, you know, we've been opportunistic as a defense. You know, we've have a pretty high number of takeaways in general, but they've kind of come at good spots and kind of, like I said, in sort of fortunate instances, obviously having a bunch down as teams are close in the red zone and completely taking points off the board, even forget just holding teams to field goals and stuff like that once they get down there. So again, our philosophy is just we're trying to get population of the ball. The more hats are on the ball, the more guys are getting around. You're getting hands on balls, the guys that get tips up, and the guys that are running to it. I mean, if you look at that the second fumble right at the end of the game where Kiko knocked the one out that X recovered, we got about 8 guys in the picture there. And it's the 60 whateverth play, whatever your other stat was, and it's late in the game, and we've got 8 or 9 guys running to the ball. And if you look at both our fumble recoveries from last game, the first guy in didn't recover them. Both times the first guy in kind of had in his hands and it bobbled out, and kind of the next guy in kind of fell on the ball or scooped it up. You know what I mean? So some of that's random, but again, just the emphasis on getting hats to the ball in terms of attacking it and punching it and popping up in the air, and then also population to run the ball again, trying to help our tackling. If one guy misses, we got guys there, and then if a ball does pop out, we've got multiple opportunities to try to recover it. So hopefully that some of those things that we're coaching are starting to show up a little bit.
So you say get population to the ball?
Population to the ball, yeah. Get hats to the ball. Yeah, that's what we tell them.
It seems like with X, teams are avoiding throwing him the ball the last couple of weeks. What role have you seen him still play, even though he might not be getting the action?
I thought X played his most physical game of the year. on Sunday. If you look at the 4th and 1 play that early in the game that 20 makes, X sets the edge. I mean, they're running a little flip play on a toss, and the tackle's pulling out, and X goes and knifes the offensive tackle and sets the edge of the numbers and allows 20 to run the alley to make that play. Obviously had a big play on the screen, had some, was getting his hands on some guys. So that was cool for me to see. I thought he took a big step. It was his most physical game by far, and he was really, helping in some ways like that maybe weren't, available to the public eye.
When you have him shadow a guy, and you see.
Cindy's going to get mad at you guys. No, you're good. Let's go. Let's go. We're having fun. She has to transcribe all these. That's why she gets mad. She gets mad at me.
There are pros and cons to having him shadow. Now, when you have him shadow, the other guy became a target. Is there a balancing act?
There is. There always is. Again, even, sometimes, you shadow a guy, and, so for X, say like, okay, I'm covering Omar, so I study him, I know his ins and outs, I know what's going on, while the other guy has to study 3 different receivers because it may not be the same guy he's matched up on across the ball. You know what I mean? So like sometimes that's even harder for the other guy to say, yeah, you're locked in on this guy and you know his tendencies and you see kind of his nuances, but the other guy's there might be 2 or 3 other receivers that he's faced up against, you know what I mean? Or he may have him in different spots and those sort of things. So yeah, there's always that balance like we talked about a couple weeks ago. I mean, all that goes into making that decision. It's not just, hey, put him on the best guy and that's cool, we're done. But there's sort of a ripple effect on everything else that's going on for sure.
On Ryan, was that after Sunday or was that before?
That was after. That was after.
So will he be evaluated again late in the week by doctors to determine if he should start throwing?
I have no idea.
When we hear about the shoulder, it kind of brings up the thought of Andrew Luck this past year. You guys kind of ruled out that as a possibility with him, the situation that Luck had with his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact. I just knew he was out for a long time. I think there was some surgeries involved. I think we're not looking at that.
Anybody got a Tannehill question?
Go for it, Omar.
Cordrea Tankersley, can you explain what's been going on there? Because it's rare that you see a rookie start 11 games and then second year not play at all.
I think it's practice. When we start over in OTAs, I mean, we start a certain way, and then guys have opportunities to win jobs or lose jobs, and that's kind of. I think he got kind of caught in that where, he wasn't performing as well, and I think there were some switches made, and and special teams kind of gets involved when you get to the kind of the next corner. When you get to the 3-4, and there's been improvement there, which has been good, which I've been happy about that. He really got more aggressive as far as his relationship with the special teams guys, the way that he's handling meetings and practice and things like that. I think that's a positive I got out of that kind of whole transition where he was one of the backups. But I do think that I don't know if it's struggling a little bit sometimes early in the season, in the preseason, where it wasn't going as smooth for him as he wanted to, and if that dinged his confidence a little bit. I think he's headed in a better direction than what he was earlier in training camp. I think he is more confident right now. He's been practicing a lot better than what he did earlier in the season, and really, I mean, he's going to get an opportunity because with the amount of injuries that we've been having this year, I mean, he's going to be out there. So we just need to have him keep improving.
When you have a player whose confidence gets chipped away, how do you build it back?
Really just kind of the way I look at it is find out what's kind of bothering him or what's causing him to have some missteps here and there or makes the wrong decision or why, not understanding a coverage or something like that. See where his mind is really at the beginning of the day, and then try to chip away at that and try to really build that thing back up, build his confidence back up. And like right now, when I see him and when he's doing, whether it's scout team or just with the defense, I see a little different walk now. I see his confidence really returning to where it starts on the scout team, because those guys are tough to go against, and we ask those guys to compete on Wednesdays and Thursdays and try to get the ball and try to pick it off and, you know, get PBUs and things like that. So he's going against good competition every day.
So Shaquem Grant is destroying everybody's confidence.
That's why they call him the bully.
The what?
They call him the bully.
You
He is. He is, man.
Anybody here believe that?
That's true.
Who calls him the bully? Yeah, who?
That's what DBs were in training camp. I think a lot of the young guys, that when they were here, he was roughing up a couple guys.
Okay.
With David Fales, obviously he's going to be your backup this week, and at least we saw after last year with him, how your level of confidence in him playing in the game?
I mean, if I didn't have confidence, he wouldn't be here. And I feel good about David. He's gotten better, you know, from training camp to within the season. He does a good job of preparing every week like he could be the guy. So, I mean, he knows the offense in and out. I like his anticipation. He knows where to go with the ball, and he understands the kind of playmakers we have outside and the running back situation of having guys that are multiple. I mean, David would be fine.
And regarding Cam Wake, who makes the final decision on whether he plays? Is this collaboration or all trainers?
Yeah, I mean, when you got a guy like that, that'll be a collaboration. You know, I'll talk to him probably either today or later today to see how he feels, or wait till tomorrow just to see it the next day. You know, a lot of times you just get a better feel how they, you know, in the morning, if he's like, well, I'm sore from yesterday, or if he's like, hey, let's go. Like Cam's going to shoot me straight. He's not going to BS around.
How did he feel today after yesterday?
He was fine so far. So, but today was really his big day because, you know, third down, red area, and things like that.
How do you know guys you can trust from that standpoint? Like at some point you have to measure having him for Sunday and having him available in December, right? You kind of have to weigh that. So who?
Well, with him, it's you'll get the right answer. You know, it's not like that with everybody, but you know, Cam, I trust 100%.
Rock mentioned something yesterday in his press conference that I thought was interesting. He said in the offensive meeting room, there's a lot of talk about standards over feelings. Can you tell me? Yeah, sorry, that's a secret phrase.
It's not. No, we stole it from somebody else. So, I mean,
what's the thought process in that phrase?
Well, just you're not going to change your standards just because it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, I mean, it's just real talk. It's being honest, and sometimes, whether you're a coach or player, you don't like to hear it. I mean, nobody wants to tell you. Nobody wants to hear that they screwed something up. So, but to get it right, you got to know you messed up first.
Was that Mike Marsh?
No, we stole it from somebody else.
How do you try to manage the fact that, you know, some of us, for example, are more sensitive than others? Same thing with players. Yeah, me and Omar are sensitive creatures. No, but some of your players might respond better to different styles of, you know, pushing.
It's delivery. I mean, to me, I look at it as just making sure that we're not sugarcoating anything. You know, we get it out there and we make sure we talk through everything and we know if there was a mistake made. And that's really the biggest thing. You don't want to let something slide, you know, just because if it's a veteran or you know, the quarterback or, you know, a star player, it doesn't matter. Everybody wants to, at the end of the day, everybody wants to get it right. So that's the key to the whole thing.
You've said before you're not surprised with what Frank Gore is doing, even if a lot of people are. Is there anything you've learned about him and his game in these 6 weeks?
I mean, he just looks the same to me. I just feel like I say the same thing about him all the time. He's just, I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer. Just the guy's he battles. I mean, when he bursts through the hole, it just doesn't look any different to me.
Adam, Brock also said yesterday that there were a couple of instances in the game last week where he actually knew the play you were going to call before you called it. He just knows the offense that well. Is that something that you almost expect? Does it surprise you? How do you react to that?
No, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. You know, I mean, he's been around this offense for a while now, so he kind of knows. He can tell probably on the sideline just through discussion of what I'm thinking, and if he doesn't like that, he's not going to be afraid to tell me. You know, I think all those quarterbacks do a good job at least communicating back as far as, hey, that's not really one of my favorites, or I really like that. So, I mean, he's not that big of a predictor because I'm probably giving him like 4 plays that I really like on the sideline, and he might guess one of them right. So,
Adam, with your time with the Broncos leading up to before Brock was drafted, how much did you have interaction with him? I guess what I'm asking is how much of a hand did you have in maybe them pulling the trigger on drafting Brock?
I'm trying to remember. We went and worked out a few guys. I think it was Elway and Matt Russell, Foxy, myself, McCoy. So, I mean, I think we took a few trips there to talk to a lot of quarterbacks. We went out to Arizona State and worked him out that day. And, you know, he was a guy we kind of gravitated to.
Yesterday, Brock said that he really doesn't follow social media, and he wears, figuratively, earmuffs to shut everything else out. Do you think that has helped him to this point where he's been criticized before to be ready for something like this?
Yeah, I mean, he's keeping pollution out of his brain. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's nothing. It's not like you ever read anything positive, so, I mean, why read it? So, I mean, in this profession, you just got to kind of stay in the bunker, you know, because you start letting all that other stuff kind of get in your head. I mean, you start to believe it after a while.
What has Travis Swanson shown you since he's taken over at center?
He's learned everything very quickly. You know, he's a big guy, and really solidify that middle, and you know, he's done a good job with what we asked him in the run game. I think he's helped us get some good movement there, pass protection. You know, he's done a good job working with those 2 guards, you know, considering he hadn't really played a lot with them. So I think it's an unfortunate transition that we had to make, but I think he's done a great job, you know, jumping in there with both feet and making sure that we didn't have drop-off.
What's one thing that Broncos well that was surprised us we may not see?
I don't know. It's probably more the command he has of the offense, what he knows how to get in and out of. It'll be subtle things, how he can help out those other guys, like little reminders every once in a while that might be something that he might have heard like 4 or 5 years ago. That sometimes it helps. You know, maybe a guy do a certain thing that helps him get open. You know, it's just the more experience that you're in something, like some of those little nuggets you pick up along the way, and you know, you can possibly help another guy out.
Do you think that what you went through in Houston and then briefly in Cleveland, back in Denver, made him a better quarterback? Just kind of, what do you think that experience was like?
I think anytime you go through any kind of adversity and you keep getting back up on the horse, I mean, it's going to be a positive. I mean, you're going to get better. If you work at it hard enough, you're going to get better, and I think that's what he's really done. He did a good job of just focusing on what he had to do here, of improving on the things that we asked him to improve on, supporting Ryan, you know, trying to help him with what he knows about the offense that maybe we might not talk directly about, that he might tell him of, hey, I went through this experience in it, like here's how I would handle it. We're kind of behind closed doors that nobody else hears. You know, I think he did a good job of that, and you know, he's brought a lot of value helping the skill guys as well.
Does the continuity help you in so much the fact that it's just not another backup quarterback that you don't have a relationship with in the past, that you have a lot of things going for each other, where he knows a lot, and it makes this a little bit easier of a transition?
Anytime that you've already had a guy that's been in the system, but you know, he was with, you know, playing behind the guy he played behind, he learned a lot of things that most guys don't get a chance to learn. And he was smart enough to listen. You know, he didn't ask a lot of questions. He listened, and he mimicked a lot of the things that Peyton did. You know, but he knew he was going to be different. You know, because that guy's one in whatever gazillion. You know, I mean, they just don't make him like how he was. So I think he took a lot of the good that he learned from him.
Last question, guys. Having Peyton on the sideline?
It was good. It was good. It was good to see him, and I hadn't seen him in a while, probably since the last it might have been like 16 or something. So, you know, anytime he comes around, it's good. The guys are always great. You know, he sees a lot of the guys, some of these guys he's played against before. You know, I know that was probably the first time he's sitting in a while. So it was good to get him around and, you know, the guys seeing him.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the interviews. I hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, if you did, please hit the subscribe button, you know, share it with your friends, post on Facebook, you know, whatever. Hit the like button, and definitely leave me some comments, questions, concerns, anything you'd like to see or hear in the videos, you know, stuff like that. So definitely let me know. And of course, the most important thing is subscribe. So with that said, I'll see you guys soon, and fins up.